Hey everybody, Andrew back with you. Just about to get into my interview with Nasri from Magic. Band had an absolutely killer year. Rude, Let Your Hair Down, Don't Kill the Magic, all huge successes, especially Rude, an international hit. The band is just about to start pushing No Way No, the next international single from the record. They've got 5 Juno nods. They're hitting the road right now with the one and only Maroon 5. They are also going to be on our March-April 2015 cover. So here's a little bit of a preview for that. Nasri from Magic on Canadian Musician Radio.
I have to ask, I mean, it's just been an absolutely phenomenal year for you guys. And, I mean, with all that's happened in just the course of not even a full album cycle, I'd love to hear firsthand just some of the highlights that you've had so far, with anything relating to Magic specifically.
I mean, for us, the main highlight was, of course, the birth of Magic. Finding a sound together is one of the hardest things to find as musicians or aspiring singers or writers. So that's kind of the first big accomplishment, which we're very lucky. I mean, we had a lot of great memories. Hitting number one on Billboard for 6 weeks was a pretty crazy one. Traveling, actually getting to see everywhere from Spain to France to London to Japan to Brazil to Mexico to everywhere in the States, and now getting on tour with Maroon 5. It's a lot of highlights. It's hard to kind of put them into one, but we just did the NBA All-Star game, now starting to sing our new single called No Way No, which was a thrill because, we're basketball fans, and we got to rock the Kyle Lowry jerseys and represent our team.
Yeah, I like that you keep the Canadian tie there. Yeah, you spoke to this or touched on it at least. I remember when we first chatted a few months back, and I'd asked what informed the decision. I mean, you having worked behind the scenes in the industry, so to speak, for so many years, as to what informed the decision now to set off and do something on your own. And you'd mentioned that you'd been wanting to start a band for quite some time, and that things just never really clicked. So, with that, I'm curious as to what it is about this group of guys, and you mentioned one of the highlights being, forming the band and establishing that sound together. Tell me a little bit about what makes that such a cohesive and, ultimately successful partnership between the four of you.
I think it's when I think about it, it's funny. It's like being in a band is like being in a relationship with a woman or a marriage, and when two people want the same things, the marriage moves forward, and you find a lot more happiness because you're living a life together. We all found that when we got into this, we all wanted the same thing. We all wanted to make a great album. We felt like we did that. We all wanted a radio hit, and we did that. We all wanted to tour, and we're doing that. So I think it's, besides the talent, but which is there, we feel like we could handle any musical situation. It's that we all wanted the same thing. It went back to the energy and all of our spirits being on the same page.
Right. You guys have had a lot of major successes on the back of one full length, which is really impressive. But that said, you guys are no strangers to the music industry, and so I'm curious, are there specific moments you can think of where having that background in the industry has helped you kind of navigate the waters as a band, as Magic, even though this is the first time that you guys have put yourselves out in this capacity, pushing your own project together?
Of course, from my standpoint, coming into it, I came into the band having quite a bit of success as a songwriter and as a producer. So I only felt the pressure of making great music. Other than that, I was like, what, if this is going to happen, it's going to happen. For the guys, they put a lot on the line to do this because they had just left their situations and, took a chance with me and with each other. and I know that they were feeling a different kind of pressure, which was, hey, like, we love the music we love, but we also need to we need to make money and make a living. But we're just lucky that the first single broke, because it allowed everybody to breathe a little bit and to say, okay, this is something that's meant to be. Starting a band when you're a little older, it's like most kids are starting bands when they're 18, and we went through that and we tried, and things didn't work out for us. We did not accomplish our goals until we were in our late 20s, early 30s. So the pressure was really different for everybody, but I think the spirits were with us, man. I don't really know how to describe it. It's just you could feel the power and the love from the universe pushing us to be together and pushing us to make it happen from inside the studio.
Mm-hmm. Let's talk about the album for a little while. I have a few questions specific to that, and the first one is, again, with your background, I guess also Mark and the other guy's background as well, but specifically your work with the Messengers. I mean, it's often where you're not involved in an entire album project, but there are instances where you're contributing to certain tracks, and so the dynamic of the album as a whole, at least for some of the folks that you've worked with in that capacity over the years, like, I don't know how much of a concern that is for you, whereas this time around, we're looking at 11 tracks that had to fit together cohesively, so we've obviously got those instant radio-ready bangers. But then tell me a bit about your approach as far as introducing dynamic to this album and making sure that it flows. And, was that a change of pace for you, whereas considering your success as a hit maker?
No, I mean, we just worked together as a group. We really kind of fell in love with the music that we were making, And I came from wanting to make full-length albums. It was the music industry that didn't see that model as a good model anymore, but I always saw that model as the right model, and was happy to be away from the hit and run hits that you make a bunch of money, but there's nothing after that. Just more opportunities to make money. So when we got together, we said, hey, let's shape the album, and of course it's everybody's responsibility to do that. If Alex starts a track like the new single, No Way No, he said, hey, we don't have anything like this, let's do something like this. Everybody is looking to create diversity, and to bring the next new cool idea to the pile. So that's what it was. It was just kind of a team of musicians and producers and writers all in one, kind of working together to bring ideas to the table. And luckily we were around each other so much because we lived together in a house that the level of communication was just in the air through the music. We didn't really have to struggle to know what was next. We could feel it. We were like, all right, we need something even faster. We need something slower. You know what? You should write a song by yourself. Like I wrote One Woman, One Man, just a song that was just really kind of simple, but it meant something to me. We were just filling it in, and as we went, really creatively. Plus, we're all producers. We're all producers and writers, so it wasn't hard to make music together.
Yeah, and actually that last part leads me even better into the next question here. But being that you are all producers, and not just that, but worked with a really wide variety of different artists, which I think manifests itself, like obviously the breadth of influence in Magic is really, really wide, and I think ultimately that's what draws people in. What I'm wondering is, can you think of any specific moments, and I don't know whether we're talking to the approach you took to recording something in the studio, considering all of the experience you guys have as producers, working and writing with so many different people, when you came together for Don't Kill the Magic, can you think of any moments, any unique tidbits, maybe parts of songs or whole songs entirely, but maybe anything that just kind of took you by surprise as being particularly refreshing, and maybe something that you hadn't encountered in any of the previous projects that made this one, just kind of elevated it to something really special for you?
I mean, that's like the whole album, really. I mean, from my standpoint, like, I've always made a lot of creative stuff, you know, as a writer that the world doesn't see, you know. For every one hit you hear, there's 100 different weird, crazy songs. And the guys have made countless records on their own and played in so many different situations. The most kind of opposite song of, you know, my writing career that's on our album is probably Little Girl, you know, where a lot of friends were, like, shocked when they heard that we were able to put that together. Because it's so bandy and but now everyone's kind of used to it, you know, because everyone's just like, they're a band, you know, because when your friends watch you put a band together, you know, they're like, what is this? What are you doing? But now everyone's just like, that's magic. But I would say out of the album, Little Girl was really that, like, that spark, and where it was like, you know, wow, look where we could take this. And Little Girl is just got a lot of high energy, and it's kind of angsty, but still cool, and it has this really, you know, righteous guitar riff, and a lot of guitar riffs actually, and it's just a really creative side of Magic that we hope through the next single. And through everything that people will start to really listen to our album and pick up on what we're doing, which is creating a body of work and not just one song, you know?
Yeah, absolutely. And I say it just as a fan of the record, but I think you nailed that, and that's kind of what informed my question about the dynamic, because, you know, there are those instantly catchy pop songs, but then, you know, there's some other cuts here that just kind of reach and add a lot of different things to the equation where, you know, even if they weren't radio ready, it just helps. Like, I really like listening to this disc all the way through, which is rare and rare these days.
Thank you.
Oh, yeah, kudos to that.
Thank you.
I just thought of this one now based on what you were just saying in your last response there. And if nothing instantly comes to mind, we can move on. But do you remember the moment at any point in the stage of working on Magic material where it just clicked and you realized, you know, like you said, having wanted to start a band for a while, that moment where you just thought, we've got something here? And I would love to hear about it if something easily comes to mind.
I mean, that's the reason why we called the album Don't Kill the Magic. It's because, like, it was like the second day, I believe. So it was the second day. We did Don't Kill the Magic. And so what happened was we were sitting there, and we had done this song called Stupid Me on the first day, which is on the album, and we were like, man, this is funky, you know? And then the next day, we wrote Don't Kill the Magic. And from that song, we realized that we could make songs that have heart, have feeling, that are cool, and it gave us our name. We got our name that day, and we got the name of our album that day, and we got what we believe is, like, that song, Don't Kill the Magic, is like, it embodies our full sound, you know? It embodies rock, a little reggae, a little pop, and a little soul, you know? And a little magic in it. So, that's definitely that was the first true defining day, where the first day was like, man, great session. Wow, that song is hot. Stupid Me. Can we do it again? You know? And then the next day when you come up with Don't Kill the Magic, where you're like, yup, we're going to be a band now.
Oh, very cool. I guess this was informed by a lot of the pop work you do. But again, when you're working with the Messengers, doing production, or, you know, when the other guys are involved in writing for other artists, collaborating with other people, how something takes shape in the live setting is probably rarely your concern. Whereas this time around, I'm wondering, was that something that was consciously on your mind about, you know, when the album was coming together, imagining how these songs were going to take shape on the stage? Or were you more of the school of, the album is the album, it's its own entity, and once we've got this in the bag, then we can figure out how we're going to recreate this? Or maybe a hybrid of the two approaches?
Yeah, it was a hybrid. I mean, like, certain songs like Don't Kill the Magic, or where we're like, okay, let's make a really cool, like when Alex and Mark really, they kind of started the production on that song, we just wanted to make a really cool sounding song. And, you know, and then we'll worry about that later. But some songs, we were like, you know, let's keep it minimal and, you know, really just bring out the parts. and they are easier to pull off live, but we haven't really crazy struggled with any of our songs live, because, you know, my guys are great musicians, so I always feel very comfortable, you know, next to Mark and Ben and with Alex behind me. So, and then, you know, again, we have the years of experience to figure it out. If we don't get it the first few times, it's usually just a few alterations until we do get it, or you know, you add something, you take something away. It's not really that complicated, because we know our music.
Right. Speaking of,
but hey, you know what? If we're tired, you're gonna feel it. But we give 110%.
The Maroon 5 tour here, it's a pretty extensive run. I mean, the billing makes sense to me as a fan, but then I'm just wondering as to what your thoughts are on this, supporting a major act on the back of the album, and I guess just what you're looking forward to bringing to these audiences that, you know, some of whom might be getting their first taste of you guys if they're going to see a different band.
Yeah, I mean, we were offered quite a few tours, you know, from different artists, and whenever the band agrees on something, we go for it. Maroon 5 was the first time out of all the kind of different artists that offered, we were like, okay, do we go on our own club tour and just, you know, hit the markets where we're really popping, or do we, you know, latch on to a band that has success and has loving, devoted fans who love, you know, a band that makes good pop music. So we don't know what Magic is going to become in the future, but we know right now that the Maroon 5 fans from the first two shows we did seem to like Magic so far. So it's a good fit, and we're a fan of Maroon 5. I mean, they're a solid pop band with great songs, and have stayed devoted and have stayed together and are an inspiration to a band.
What's the set list like for this run? I mean, we've got the 11 tracks on the debut, but are people going to be hearing any new cuts by any chance?
Yeah, we sing for half an hour, so we definitely, of course, do Rude, and we do a couple little kind of half covers. We do Don't Kill the Magic and Let Your Hair Down, and, you know, songs that have videos, and of course we're highlighting No Way No now, which is the next single, which we just finished the video, which is about to go kind of heavy around the world to radio and et cetera. So, and there's, you know, a couple little things. We're actually pretty free-spirited band, so, like, we'll, like, wake up one day and be like, we're changing the set today, you know? Like, we're not, like, stuck to anything like that, you know? We just try to entertain people, and we go with how we feel, you know? We grew up loving Prince and Stevie Wonder and all these great bands and all these great artists that, you know, they don't always have a game plan, you know? Like, sometimes it's just like, we're doing this. You know, we're rolling with this 10 minutes before the show because it feels right. Mm-hmm. But we have our 5 or 6 that are always in the set for the set, and then we'll just interchange 1 or 2 and see what the fans like. And, you know, our goal over the Maroon 5 tour is really just to show people a good time and hope that when we come back to play our own show that they come and buy tickets.
Bang on. What does the rest of the cycle look like? I mean, after you're off the road with Maroon 5, is there a plan as to sort of what Magic's going to be up to, say, the rest of 2015? I mean, having easy access to the studio and I probably being able to output things a bit easier than most considering your backgrounds, is there new stuff on the way? Have you started tinkering with ideas? What's next?
I mean, the second album's pretty much already structured because we write on the road. But we're not in a rush to put it out because we're still just starting promoting the first. But, you know, we can't help ourselves. We are genuinely driven songwriters and expressive songwriters. I mean, I woke up in a bus bunk today, you know, and I just started writing. I don't know what I was doing, but I just was going, and that's just what we are. And but we're also performers, so I think if the world sticks with Magic and continues to open up your hearts, you're going to see a really cool dynamic of 4 guys giving you the best of all worlds.